everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the magnificent, wonderful new Lord-Veritant. Yes, here it is. I've been really looking forward to this one. It's an absolutely cracking model, as well as the new Gryph-Hound. A very furry little Gryph-Hound, not the kind of traditional, more smooth ones. I really like this new design for them. I think they look absolutely incredible. Thank you to Games Workshop for sending me this one as part of the Skaventide box set. I've been very much looking forward to painting this one up, and today we're going to jump in and start painting it. We've been going to paint both here, the Gryph-Hound and the Lord-Veritant as well, but we're going to start with the Lord-Veritant and then move on to the Gryph-Hound. So we're going to pop the Gryph-Hound to one side for now, and well, they've both been primed in grace here, and the colour that we're going to be using first is some thinned down Iron Warriors, and we're going to be applying this over the top of all of the silver armour because we are painting the new Ruination Stormcast Eternals for the Hallowed Knights. So we're going to apply this Iron Warriors over the top of all of the silver details, and I would recommend having the box art open in front of you for this bit, so you know what's silver and what's not. And then once that's all done, we'll come back. With all that Iron Warriors applied, we're then going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to apply this over the top of the inner robe. So with that Black Legion all applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Talassar Blue, and we're going to apply this over a number of different details. So we're looking at the outside, or the trim, of all the mail. Like that. We're going to also apply this over the top of the left shoulder. Like that. And we're going to apply this over the top of the outside of the cloak. With all that Talassar Blue applied, we're then going to take some Ultramarines Blue, and we're going to apply this over the top. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Cygor Brown, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the leather. So we've got the belts, scabbard, and the straps. So with that then done, what we now need to do is we need to take some thinned down Retributor Armour, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of our remaining metallics. So we've got the knee pad here, we've got the decoration and trim on the armour, we've got all the mail as well, we're going to apply it all over the top of that. Got the remaining areas on the staff / brassiere. Remaining areas on the sword as well. The entirety of the shield is gold as well. So it's an awful lot of gold here. And one thing I will point out we also need to do is the 2 large gems on these hip plates. Like that. With all that Retributor Armour applied, we're then going to take some Blood Angels Red, and we're going to apply this over top of all of these weapon grips. So on the staff, the knife, and the sword. So with that all done, we're then going to take some Nuln Oil. I'm going to use this to do, well, a bunch of different things. So the first thing we're going to use it for is to colour in the white details. So this is going to be the little face here. Like so. And the one on the shoulder. Like that. Then we're also going to apply the Nuln Oil over top of the parchment. So normally we would use something like Skeleton Horde, only having Skeleton Horde right next to gold, this much gold at least, doesn't look quite right, so we're going to go for a slightly different style of paper this time. So that sort of thing, and we'll come back and do the rest of it. However, because we've got it open, what we might as well do now is use this to also shade the silver. Like that. I'm going to use it to shade the black cloak. Like so. And then once that's all done, we'll come back. In the same vein of shading lots of things, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Gore-Grunta Fur. I'm going to use this over the top of all of the chainmail. And with all that Gore-Grunta Fur applied, we're then going to take some Guilliman Flesh. And we're going to apply this over the top of the face and head. but we're also going to use this to shade all of our gold and all of the red. So with all of that Guilliman Flesh applied, we're then going to take some Seraphim Sepia. I'm going to apply this over top of the inside of the cloak. And with that done, we're then going to take some Gryph-Charger Grey and we're going to apply this over top of the blindfold. And so our final base coaty detail is going to be the two bits of flame. Now we're going to be using three colours for this: Imperial Fist, Gryph-Hound Orange and Blood Angels Red. And we're going to start by taking some Imperial Fist, and we're going to work here on the sword. So we take the Imperial Fist on our brush and we apply it all over the top of the flames. Like that. Then we wash the brush, get rid of the water, then pick up a little bit of Gryph-Hound Orange. Then we go in there, we just apply this over the tips of the flames like that. Wash the brush, get rid of the water, and then grab a little bit of Blood Angels Red, and again just on the tips of the flames like that, we add it in. Wash the brush one more time, get rid of the water one more time, and then grab a tiny little bit of Imperial Fist and use this to now move those colours together just softening out any blends and transitions. Just like that sort of thing. And then we do the same thing on the reverse. So with that all done, we've now got a couple of extra shades to do, and the first one's pretty easy in that it's going to be some Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to apply this over top of the male that we've already shaded with Gore-Grunta Fur. Just want to get it nice and dark and dirty. And so for our final shade, what we're going to do is we're going to take some black Templar, but we're going to thin it down with 3 or 4 parts Lamia medium, whichever you prefer. We want it to be nice and runny. And basically what we're going to do here is we're going to add a little bit more depth into all the silver. So we want to add some of this black Templar like this around the underside of the breastplate. Like that. We want to add some of this into the kind of recesses here by the gems. Add a little bit of it just there, going across the flat of those hip plates like that. Gonna add a small amount of it in here. Like so. A little bit of it just in there. A little bit across the flat there. Just gonna reinforce that bit there under the black breastplate a little bit more. And then, once we're happy with our kind of extra bit of black shading across the flat of the blade, we're also going to add this. Like that sort of thing. So with that all done, our Lord-Veritant is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and it's looking pretty good. However, we're of course not going to leave it there. No, we're going to take it to the next level, and we're going to do this by adding some layers and some highlights. Now, the first of these layers is going to be some thinned down Leadbelcher. And what we're looking to do here is everywhere we didn't use the black Templar, there is a flat open space. We're looking to relayer this over the top like that to create it nice and bright. So we're going to be doing it there. We're going to do it along the cutting edges of the sword. Like that sort of thing. I'm going to do it in here on the thigh. Like that. I'm going to do it along this edge of the leg, and same on the other side as well. Like that. And then over the top of the boot. So with that Leadbelcher all applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the silver details. So with that all done, the silver's looking fantastic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on all the gold. Now, The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour, and just on the shield, what we're going to do here is going to relayer this. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. And we're going to use this to relayer the trim of the Veritant. Not the kind of small details. Such as the bits on the staff and the sword. For like the knee, the shoulder, the gorget, the back plate, the gems, we're going to do this all over like that, just avoiding the recesses. So with all that Liberator Gold relayered on there, what we're then going to do is we're going to take a roughly 2 parts Stormhost Silver to 1 part Retributor Armour mix. I'm going to use this to highlight now every gold detail. Like that. So with that all done, all of the metallics are now finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the cloak. Now, the colour we're going to be using is some thinned down Kantor Blue. However, we're going to thin it down with sort of 4 or 5 parts water, just to make it nice and runny, so it kind of acts more like a glaze. And we're just using this now to smooth out any of these large folds in the cloak. Just whilst we're waiting for that Kantor Blue to dry, what we are going to do is we're going to work on the inside of the cloak in much the same way, but we're also going to work on all the other white details. So this is going to include these faces on the shoulder and on the kind of this bit. It's also going to include the eyes, and it's going to include the paper on the back, as well as the inside of the cloak. So the colour we're going to be using is some thinned down Corax White. And we're just going to be applying this over the top of the inside of the cloak. Just like this. However, once we get towards the bottom, we're going to wash the brush. Then we're just going to blend it into the Seraphim Sepia that we did before. Just like that sort of thing. So with all that Corax White applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Hallowed Blue. I'm going to use this to highlight all the blue details. And with that Hallowed Blue all applied, we then want to take a small amount of Fenrisian Grey. I'm going to use this to add a little spot highlight to the sharpest parts of the blue. So with that all done, we can now move on to the next colour, which is going to be all of the black. And specifically, we're looking at this bit of the cloak. So we're going to be doing exactly what we just did with the blue. We're just going to apply some thinned down Eshin Grey. With that Eshin Grey all applied, we then take a tiny amount of some thinned down Dawnstone. I'm going to use this to pick out the sharpest points in that black. So with that black robe all finished, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Kantor Brown. I'm going to use this to highlight the brown. And with that done, we then want to take a tiny amount of flayed one flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight the face. So with that flayed one flesh applied, we then just want to add a little tiny bit more colour into those flames. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Cassandora Yellow, and we're going to apply this over the top of, well, the entirety of the flames. And so with that Cassandora Yellow applied, there is just one last thing left to do, which is to take some Blood Angels Red. And we're going to apply this over top of all of the little gems and the large gems. So we've got that one there. We have our large ones on the hips and on the gauntlet. Okay, so our Lord-Veritant is now finished, and I'm just really pleased with it. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. However, we do now need to do the Gryph-Hound as well. So we're going to do exactly that. So the colour we're going to be using first for our Gryph-Hound is going to be a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lamia Medium and Basilicanum Grey. And we're going to apply this over the top of the entirety of the Gryph-Hound's hair and flesh. So with that done, we're then going to take a roughly 2 parts Black Legion to 1 part Lahmian medium mix. And we're going to apply this over top of all of the flesh, and then we're going to blend it into the legs a little bit. So we're just going to start here and apply this like so. The Lahmian medium is in there just to make it a little bit easier for us when it comes to the blending part. Like so. Cool. Then we bring it down just a little bit. Like that. Wash the brush. Touch off the water. And just around there like that. And like that. We give it the blends. We do the same thing down the tail. Down to about halfway like that. Wash the brush. And then we blend it in. Make sure we got the underside of the belly. And then do the other half of the tail. Wash the brush. Give it the blends. I'm going to do the underside of the other half of the legs. Like that. And then we're just going to do the same thing around the head hair. But firstly, we're going to just block it in to around about there. Wash the brush. Give it the blend. Just like that. And then, whilst we got it open, we might as well just take some Black Legion and apply this over top of the beak and the claws. With that all done, we're then going to take some Ultramarines Blue. We're going to apply this over the top of this little bit of armour. Well, it's a strap really. So with that all done, and now that all of the skin and the hair is dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Administratum Grey and we're going to dry brush this over the top of the hairs. With that Administratum Grey dry brush applied, we're then going to take a little bit of Cygor Brown and we're going to apply this over the top of the little strap on the helmet. There and there, like that. And so with that then done, we want to take a tiny little dot of Troll Slayer Orange. We want to apply this over the top of the eyes. And so with that done, we now want to take some thinned down Retributor Armour and we want to apply this over the top of all of the metallic details, such as the helmet, the little ring at the back, and the trinket on the front. And so with that then done, we're going to shade all the gold using some Guilliman Flesh. And so with that then done, we're going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. We're going to use this to do two different things. One is to relayer the armor panel. Like so. However, the other thing we're going to do with it is going to use this to highlight all the slightly smaller fiddly areas, such as that spike there, the gem, and the trinkets. And so with that done, just like before, we're going to take some Blood Angels Red. I'm going to use this to pick out the little gem. And so with the bases now complete, our Lord-Veritant is all finished, and I really like this one. I think it looks incredible. It is a far cry from the original Lord-Veritant, which was basically just a slightly different Castellant model. If you go back and compare them, it's basically the same thing. There's just a couple of different components. I mean, it is the same thing, but this one just looks incredible. I love it. I love it so very much. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.